If you are a collector or a cinephile, you already know that part of the fun is you're always discovering something new, whether it's a director or a genre. Sometimes it can be a production company and a series of films. And that brings us to today's episode. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today we look at 4 British horror films from Tigon Productions. Let's check it out. Tigon actually started by making semi-pornographic films, but then moved into science fiction and horror films alongside some better-known British brands like Hammer and Amicus. The picture quality on all the discs I'm going to show you today is quite good, above average, especially compared to the picture quality of the trailers that are included in the discs. All the films are in color. I'm also going to tell you at the end where you can see these films if you either just want to watch them or check them out before looking into buying them. I'm going to rank the 4 Tigon films that I actually have from worst to best, though none are terrible. And we're going to start with The Blood Beast Terror from 1968. This is Region B. All the films I'm going to show you today are Region B, and they're all from 88 Films, the label 88 Films. This is about a mad scientist in the 19th century who is creating sort of a human slash vampire slash moth creature hybrid that's beginning to commit a series of murders. It's good production values, has a Hammer-like feel to it. It's a pretty muddled story, as you can probably guess from my description. We don't see the creature very much, but the Mothman we see, you can see him in the background there. Even though he's kind of dormant in the film, he hasn't been activated yet. It's a pretty cool looking creature. Some of the tropes here include a pure and innocent girl, a very buxom evil girl, a mad scientist, of course, and an Igor-like assistant. Peter Cushing plays the inspector in this film, and he says this is the worst film he's ever made. Now, he might be exaggerating, I don't know, but it's not a terrible film by any means. But like I said, this is from 88 Films, and I just want to point out before going further, I love the design, the aesthetics, the graphic design of these discs. You have this beautiful artwork here. This is kind of a matte finish. I don't know if you can tell, but it's textured finish here. The same artist does the artwork on the back. And the spine is very cool, where you have a consistent color scheme of black and yellow. A little icon here that has to do with the film itself. So the icon changes on each film. And then the year also. And then when you open up the disc, there's reversible artwork. This is a very nice slipcover, by the way. A little sturdier than usual. There's a reversible artwork, so I did change the artwork here. This must be the original theatrical poster. And inside, from the same artist, I believe his name is Sean Longmire, different artwork on the disc. This is consistent throughout all these discs, almost all of them, as you'll see. And then a booklet here, which is fairly short, about 24 pages, but very informative. All of them are very informative. And extras on all of these discs. They vary in quantity and quality, but they all have at least audio commentaries, which I did not listen to. My number 3 pick is Curse of the Crimson Altar, also known as the Crimson Cult, from 1968. This is about a man who goes in search of his missing brother and ends up in a remote country house owned by this very mysterious man. Again, a strong feeling of a Hammer film. There are some touches of gothic and folk horror, but it really is of its time with a 60s vibe. Mainly with this kind of groovy party scene where everybody's kind of hanging out and making out, and some generic electric guitar feedback rock music in the background. A couple of surprising bits of nudity here, and even some little S&M going on. 3 horror film icons in this film. We have Barbara Steele, and Christopher Lee and Boris Karloff. This is one of Karloff's last roles. He's actually in a wheelchair in this film, and there's a nice meta moment regarding Karloff, but I'm not going to give that away. You have to find out on your own. Coming in at number 2 is Island of Terror from 1966. Really, this would be a tie with that previous one, both at number 2 and 3. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. Now, this disc looks a little bit different graphically. As you can see, the spine's a little bit different, even though it has the icon and the year, but the color scheme's different. But the same artist doing the artwork here and on the back and on the disc itself. But the fine print on the bottom does say it is indeed a Tigon film. This is about the inhabitants of an isolated island community who encounter these tentacled creatures that can liquefy human tissue and bone. This one has more of a science fiction horror film than the other ones, and reminded me for some reason of the Quatermass films from Hammer. It kind of falls in between, say, a schlocky American creature feature from the 50s and a more sophisticated Hammer film with some bad dialogue but very good production values and a truly awful romantic subplot. The creatures don't show up until about 30 minutes in, and it's only an 87-minute film, but once they do show up, the pace picks up quite a bit. Peter Cushing is in this one in a supporting role, and veteran Hammer director Terence Fisher was the director here. Coming in at number 1 of the 4 Tigon films that I own is The Blood on Satan's Claw from 1971. This is in a rural English village in the early 18th century where this kind of very bizarre skull is discovered, and it has a strange impact on mainly the children living in that village. This is probably the best known film of the 4 in this episode, and it's an excellent example of folk horror. It's creepy, unpredictable, beautifully photographed, atmospheric, very spooky soundtrack. A couple of scenes involving nudity, one of which may trigger some female viewers, so be aware of that. My only criticism here is that there's really not a clear-cut protagonist or fleshed out characters, but that's pretty minor because it's such a strong movie. Now, this is the only disc of the 4 that didn't come with a slipcover and doesn't have a booklet, so I'm guessing there's a limited edition that has that. I could not find that anywhere. So it still has the look on the spine. It still has everything else is the same, but no slipcover, no booklet, which is kind of a drag. And it's probably the most popular Tigon film, along with Witchfinder General. Now, another one I didn't include in here is back here. This one up here, The Whip and the Body, and that's a Mario Bava film. And it does say in the fine print that's a Tigon film, and that's really, really good. But this is kind of a deluxe edition back here with a very thick hard box and a perfect bound book to it. So where can you see these films? Well, if you want to buy them, of course, that's an option. Except be aware they are Region B, and they might not all have the slipcover and the booklet, so you have to be careful about that. But if you just want to either watch them before you buy them, or you just want to check them out, just watch them. They are all streaming on Tubi, which, as you probably know, is a free streaming service. Picture quality on that service varies quite a bit. I've seen some really rough prints on that service. So feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down below. Are there any Tigon discs that you would recommend or that are your favorites? Am I going to buy more of these? I'm not sure. I mean, I know it's kind of superficial, but I do like the way they, or most of them, line up on the shelf. I like the graphic design of them. I really like all that. And of course the films are good too. But just aesthetically, I like having those films. So maybe I'll get some more, I don't know. So leave a thumbs up, don't leave a thumbs down, subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Subscribing is free. Also free is we're on Letterboxd under the Kazdoy Closet, and you can find star ratings for all the films I showed you today. And we also left brief reviews for the films Companion, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. So check those out. That's free. What's not free is my ebook is available. It is True Tales from the Teacher Trenches, the ups and downs of 32 years of teaching. And as you can get it through Amazon.com. It's for your Kindle. But if you don't have a Kindle, you can use the free Kindle app on the device of your choice. And that ebook will set you back $1.99. So check that out. Otherwise, hope you like this episode. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.